Hey guys, welcome to another video. Well, I sold the last push mower I had in stock, so it's time to look at this one. No idea what we're into with this one. I don't know, the top cover's loose and it was leaking oil and I don't know. We're gonna put it up on the table there and see what we can do with it. It's got a wobbly wheel, probably needs new wheels. But anyways, something to look at. It was a freebie. If I gotta scrap it, I'll scrap it. I'll pull some parts off it that I can use, scrap the rest. So let me get set up, we'll get you in the stand, and we'll dig in. Alright, so let's go over this thing and see what we got. Well, this isn't right. The axle bolt's actually too long. Looks like it's off, probably off another machine, somebody cobbled together. It does have a spacer in there, but it's not enough to do what it needs to do, so we're gonna fiddle with that eventually. But this is exactly the way I got the machine. I haven't touched anything. The whole top cover's loose. The recoil's not in the handle where it should be. It's got a rotten old spark plug in there. Ooh, it's a first fire spark plug. My favorite. I think the only thing worse than a first fire is a torch. And then after that is the E3. They're horrible. Terrible. Terrible, terrible. Alright, so let's get that top cover out of there and let's see what disaster awaits. A couple of small screws there. 1/4 inch socket takes those off. That just removes our plastic cover. And we get to the top there. 4.0 horsepower. Brakes is MTD Quattro. Dipstick's been pulled out. Bolts loose in the front. Bolts are missing out of the back. There's our recoil with the dipstick tube attached. It wasn't in the engine anyway, so. Recoil's not doing too good of a job. Well, it's not bad now. You see the dogs. Let me flip the monitor part around so I can see what you're seeing. See, the dogs are coming out now, but they weren't before. That feels a little crunchy in there. Probably just dirt. We'll give that a spray and a spray with some penetrating oil and a blowgun. We'll clear that out. Toss that to the side for now. Let's have a peek in the gas tank here. No rust. I do see water in there. Just a couple of bubbles of water on the bottom. Any oil? Hello? Oh, there's something dark and dingy down on the bottom of that thing. I'm not thinking it'll fire, so I'm going to check for spark. Put my spark tester on it. Spark tester. That and that. So if it's got a spark, that should flicker. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in there and I'm going to pull the kill wire off the coil. That'll tell me if the coil's good. There we go. Kill wire is disconnected, so if the coil's good, it will spark. Still have to hold the bail handle down to take the brake off the flywheel. The clamp I use for that seems to be missing. Hang on, let me locate that. Found it. So I'll hold that down. Just clamp it around the bail handle on the push handle and see what happens. So we got no pull cord on there because I took it off. How are you supposed to check that? Yeah, spin it with a drill. There we go. Got our drill. Got an adapter in there, 1/2 inch drive adapter. Before I spin that, I'm just going to disconnect the spark plug. I'm going to turn that blade over by hand to make sure it clears, because there is a crappy old blade under there. I just want to make sure it doesn't hit the table. It clears, but my battery's dead. That's awesome. All right. Spark plug has got a split right down it. Let's see what we can see. I ain't holding on to it, it's wet. See a very weak spark. Very weak. Could be a bad coil. Just my luck. I gave away all my little 3.5, 4 horsepower coils like a few days ago. I had a bunch of spares that I didn't want anymore. I gave them away. That's great. Well, we're going to run with it. It does have a spark, as weak as it is, but we're going to try it anyways. Alright, next up. It does have compression because it was stopping the drill from spinning. I'll pull that spark plug out of there. See what kind of wondrous plug we have. Gap's too big. First fire. And that black line that you see there, it's actually split in the porcelain. That ain't no good for nothing. So it should be J19 for this little flathead. J19 Champion will do it. That piston's moving. Just going to check to see if the valves are moving. That one is. That one is. See down the plug hole to see the valves moving up and down. Got compression. The governor is free. Alright, well, we're going a little bit further. Let's get that air filter off of there. Air filter's plugged solid. It's a foam filter. Bottom is plugged up. That needs a wash. You can wash them in gasoline, but you know, they say never wash anything in gasoline. It's too dangerous, but I guess soap and water. I'm not recommending you use gasoline, but I'm telling you, I'm going to use gasoline. I don't see anything outstanding in that carburetor. Doesn't look all plugged up. Huh. You know what? We might just drop a little bit of oil in there to make sure there's enough in it. Some fresh fuel. See what happens. I'm going to take a rag and I'm going to jam it down in there. Being careful, there's a nylon piece that comes down from the carburetor, goes all the way to the bottom of the tank. You got to be careful you don't break that off. But I'm just going to tilt the mower backwards and I'm going to soak up any water and garbage that's in there. Put a splash of fresh gas in there, get the recoil back on, and give her a pull and see what happens. What do we got to lose? Nothing. It's a free mower. If it doesn't run, it doesn't run. Who cares? Off to the scrap pile. But it's worth putting an effort in. Okay. There's so much crap on my bench, you can't do anything. That's that. I'm gonna have to find a couple of bolts for the back here. They were missing. We'll find a couple of 1/4 bolts and put them in there. Sometimes these engines don't like to run without an air filter in them, so I gotta clean that up. And I'll put it on there and we'll see if that works for us. Oh, this is all bent and angled. That's supposed to be down. There we go. I don't know. Okay. We got the blow gun, blow some more of that crap out of there. Noise alert. Turn the air on. More air comes out when you turn the valve on. Let's put the gas cap back on. It's too hard to cover both. There we go. Air washing. Somebody says that, I forget who it is. Somebody calls it air washing. Anyway, we're gonna put a new plug in there. This one ain't gonna run. J19LM. Champion number. I, however, use different plugs. This is the brand from the supplier I use. They're inexpensive. They're about half the price of a Champion, but they seem to work. They work just fine. I've never had an issue with them. Not a single one, ever. If I do have an issue with them, I'll stop using them. But until then, I'll just keep using them. New splug in there. French side of the box calls it a boogie. 7,000 foot-pounds torque. No, just kidding. That's crazy. Way too much torque. Just snug. And we're going to push our dipstick tube and everything down in there at the same time. We'll give her we'll wipe its nose here. The noise you hear in the background is actually rain on the tin roof of the shop. It's drizzling right now, but it builds up in the tree that's above the shop and drops on the steel roof, and it gets quite loud actually sometimes. Alright, let's get this beast on there. More bent stuff. Go figure. Alright, dipstick tube's in the way. It's gotta come off. Charge that dead battery. Grab a different battery. Here on my little driver. Take 2 screws out of the dipstick tube, one on each side here. Put that on later. Almost lined up. You gotta be careful here you don't pinch that spark plug wire under the cover. So these line up. Okay, we'll grab that 3/8 headed bolt that we still had. The one that came with the mower. Fire a couple of 1/4-inch ones in the back. Little short guys out of stock. Should be 1/4 20. Yep. Just regular coarse, 1/4-inch coarse bolts. Now I gotta change my socket. Now it's got 2 side sockets. You get 3/8 on the front, 7/16 for the back. Give that cord a slow pull. Nothing's hitting. Well, now it's got to come off again. You guys are looking down at your feet. Let's get that recoil better. Can't test it if you can't start it. A little bit of penetrating oil underneath all the moving parts in there. Deep creep. My favorite penetrating oil. I've used lots and lots of different ones over the years. This one seems to work the best. There's a little notchy in there. Huh. The friction part isn't working right. Well, too. Well, that took longer than expected. But it works good now. For now, anyways. Alright. Back on. Back on track. One bolticus there. One bolticus back here. Come on now. Get in your home. One over here. Let's snuggle those down. 3/8 in the front, 7/16 to the back. Dipstick tube. That requires a 1/4-inch socket. Get the dipstick out of there first. Make sure the O-ring is on the base of that dipstick. Otherwise you'll be leaking oil all over the top end. We're not going to put the fancy cover on the top yet. Give the dipstick a wipe. I'm concerned with keeping debris out of it. The tube has been sitting off the machine for so long. I'm sure it's full of all kinds of pine needles and crap down in there. Let's check, see if there's any reading on the stick. Nope, not a drop. Let's put some straight 30 in it. If it's a successful mower, we're going to change oil anyways. But I want enough in there that I'm not going to cook the motor just testing it. Oh yeah, you got oil now. Probably too much. I didn't put that much in there, but I was sitting on top of everything. No, I didn't put too much in there. It just takes a while for that straight 30 to go down there, and it's not that warm in the shop today. drizzly, overcast day. Big doors open, no heat on, so. That'll do it. We're at the ad level. That's all we need. New plug. Oh. You guys forgot to tell me to hook the kill wire back up on the coil. Oh. You ready now? Anyways. We're going to tip it back, get some out. There's just a few little drops of water in there. It's nothing serious, nothing crazy. So we'll just tilt the mower back a little bit. Yeah, doesn't want to fall off, so we're okay. A little bit of old gas in there. A few little things of bubbles of water. Drop that in there, let that soak up. Oh no! Ooh. Take a whiff of that. Nah, needs a little more. I don't want to take everything apart. There's a diaphragm between the tank and the carburetor. I don't want to have to mess with all that crap first. You know, right off the bat, have to fix parts that shouldn't need fixing. But we're going to see if it runs the way it is. Don't want to invest any money into something that you don't even know is going to run. So that should get all the water out there. You cannot stay in there. Out with you. Oh, water's gone. Don't want to start it on the table. It's not sturdy enough. Primer's working. I can hear it doing things, and it's not squirting fuel in there. That's good. It means there's no water stuck in the tube or anything. I'm not sure if this is supposed to have a... I don't know. Linkage looks a mess. We're going to find out. That linkage looks very similar to the one that's on my pressure washer. On my pressure washer, that is stopped, and this is wide open. We're going to set her in the middle. We don't need this thing screaming away and going out of control. Okay, let's get it off the stand. A little splash of gas. Hope for the best. Like I said, shop door's open. We don't need to gas ourselves, so. Little 91 non-ethanol. With seafoam already in it. that is that. One, two, three. Okay. Can you see what I'm seeing? It's way down there now. Yep, pull cord is way too far away. Get it back in its loop. On the handle here so I can pull it without straining myself. Pull cord is short. Hope for the best. But like I said, we did have weak spark, so. Not feeling the love. Pull cord is way too short. Nope. Check that spark again. I can't even see it. I gotta get the pull cord out of the handle again. Get my clamp back on the bars. Oh, it's got spark. Yeah, I can see it now. However, our carburetor might not be working right. Pull the plug, see if it's wet. If the plug is wet, we know we got fuel. But I can see it flashing here, so I know it was definitely had a spark to the plug. Plug is dry, we got enough fuel. Plug is wet, it's flooded. Plug is bone dry. Bone dry, we got no fuel going to it. Shocking. Can I get enough hands in there? I'm going to cover the carburetor with my hand to act as a choke. Oh, it fired. It's actually really hard to push, like pull the starter like that. It runs. Just held my hand over here, pulled the cord, it was acted like a choke. So I think maybe the primer system is not priming properly. And that's causing it not to start. So fired right up once it choked it with my hand. Alright, let's start on that carburetor removal. I'm going to pull the bolt out of the front here. 3/8. Pull the bolt out of the back here. Looks like a 1/2 inch. Yes, it is. She's loose. So the carburetor should be on an O-ring, on an intake pipe. We have to gently move this. I don't want to stretch and bend any springs. Gently slide it off. Linkage only goes in one spot. It's on a Z bend, so let's just tilt. Pop it out of the way. There we go. That's that Z bend there. It's hard to see. Lighting is horrible. No O-ring in there. The O-ring is in the back of the carburetor. Right in there. Beauty. Alright, so we're going to pop it on the bench. We'll take these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Phillips screws out. We'll slide the carburetor off the fuel tank. And we'll see what happens. See what's in there anyway. Make sure that's tight. Yep, that intake pipe sometimes gets loose. That intake pipe is tight, so we're golden. Yeah. Let's have a look. Oh my, I gotta clear off my bench. I'll clear off my bench to get you guys a bird's eye view and we'll start tearing into it. Alright, so I've already blown a bunch of this stuff off of here with the compressed air. Let's zip these screws out. Five screws. I think there's only 5. Yeah, there's 5. Got a little screwdriver under there. Prying action. There we go. Just crack the gasket loose. Gently now, gently, gently. There's that pickup tube I was mentioning earlier. The screen sometimes gets plugged up. Where are you looking? There. The screen sometimes gets plugged up. There's a bunch of jets in there. The primer bulb is functioning, but it's not going where it needs to go. I think it's just bypassing itself. Have a look down in here. Down in there. Okay, hold on, not so fast. And there's a screen. Anyways, full of junk. Full of crap and correction. We'll clean that out. Give her a good wipe. Passages in this are rather large, so it's hard to get them plugged solid. But I think what we have is a diaphragm issue here with it. The diaphragm is not working properly in regards to the primer bulb. I think when I press the primer bulb, it's pulling fuel up, and then when you press it, it just shoves it back down in the tank instead of shoving it up into the carburetor. So that's an issue. Let's get these screws out of here. I don't have one of these diaphragms in stock. But it is kind of warped. It's a diaphragm and a gasket. It's actually built kind of similar to little two-stroke cube style carburetors. Yeah, this diaphragm is finished. We'll leave it to the side, see what happens. That out. Should be able to push our emulsion tube down somehow. Maybe. Can't see it. Oh, there it is. I should be able to get that out, cleaned up. Don't forget our spring's secure. It's not going to fall off, so that's alright. Fuel pickup tube. I don't want to wreck the gasket. but actually coming off of there nice. Might be okay. If I have to, I mean, I'll order a kit for it, but I'd rather not. Oh. Okay. It's a roll of the dice whether you can save them or not. Gaskets and diaphragms. I mean, you can try. You can get it all together. You can think you did just fine, and then get it all back together, and the thing leaks. So, and then you're into putting another kit on it, anyways. Yeah, I'm gonna get a little more parts taken off here. I'm gonna clean out that mess in there. Tank still got that fresh fuel I put in it. I don't want to dump it all over the floor. So yeah, let me get that figured out and we'll be back. Alright, so I got the carb back together. I just cleaned all the passages out, took the emulsion tube out, made sure everything was clear, blew air through all the passages, and bolted it back on. Now, when I press that primer bulb, I actually see a shot of gas shooting into the intake, so let's give it a try. Spark plug's on, yep. Survey says. Nice. Nice. Runs pretty good. Huh. Just taking that apart and cleaning out passages fixed that primer problem. So that's good. Bit of rattly going on underneath that cover. The starter recoil cover. And I moved the... Whoa, easy. I moved the pull cord down into a different hole on the handle. And because it was way up at the top there, and there wasn't enough cord, so moved it down to give me another 8 or 10 inches of pull on the cord, and that works just fine. Huh. Sounds good. Now, it's shaking pretty bad, so I know that blade is out of balance. I'm going to take it off, clean it up, sharpen it, balance it, put it back on. We'll let it run for a bit, warm up. We'll dump the old oil out, refill it with some fresh SAE 30. Wash the air filter out and give it a bath, and I think this one's ready for sale. Oh, I gotta fix the still gotta fix that wibbly wobbly wheel. Maybe we get some footage of that. Well, here's what we're dealing with this. This is a shouldered bolt that needs to tighten up on its shoulder to keep the wheel from wobbling, but I'm pretty sure that the axle bolt is from a donor machine because the threaded section is too long and it's hitting the body of the mower before it tightens up. So I'm going to take that nut off. I'll take the axle bolt out and knock some threads off the end, shorten it up a little. Doesn't have to go much. Looks like 1/16 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch. We got lots of thread, so let's do that. Who's going to call the sizes? What's the small nut? 9/16 ish. What about the outside? The big one. I know what it is because I just found out. 3/4. Let's get this out of here. I don't like wobbly wheels. What are you doing to me here? Doesn't want to come out. Oh, there we go. The axle was stuck in the threads. I know what happened. It's not supposed to have a nut on the inside. This part is this part here is the adjuster bracket, and it's supposed to be threaded. So the axle bolt's just supposed to go directly, threaded directly into that, but this one ain't doing it. So it's partially threaded, partially with a nut. There's the nut off. I need to get that threads pulled out, and then I gotta take, I'll take 1/8 of an inch off anyways, off the end of this bolt, and get it to fit in there a little better. That's completely the wrong one, because that's not supposed to have this great big honking spacer in there. If you look at the other side, it doesn't have it. Yeah, bolts is too long. I'll cut some off. Then we'll get it back in there. Off camera. But that's just noisy. We're on the zip cut. So, stand by. Alright, so we got some of that bolt cut off. I think I cut off maybe 3/16. Let's see if we can get it started again. We already know the threads are no good. Otherwise there wouldn't have had to have been a nut on the back. There we go. It's pushing right through. Let's get that nut on there. Started, maybe. Actually, probably a smart thing is to get it in the wrench. Use the wrench to hold it. Possibly. This all sounds good on paper. There we go. So that should tighten up nicely on the shoulder of this axle bolt. That way the wheel will be true to the axle, and the axle won't be flopping around in the bracket. Oh yeah, great. Gotta get a socket on the large side. On the 3/4 side. Things are just flying off. There we go. She started. It's snug. It's snug all the way. That's good. There we are. Oh, that's much better. Well, it still needs oil. That's horrible. But it's on. And it's not touching the body here. The bolt, the axle is nice and solid now, so there we go. That's that. I'll pull that recoil back off. I think something might be rubbing in there. Sounds funny. I'll pull the recoil off and look into it. We'll put our fancy pants Briggs cover on the top. That Quattro 4.0. Get you backed up. We'll put this fancy cover back on there. It dresses it up, makes it look nice. Huh. Sure. What's left? Sharpen and balance the blade, clean the air filter, put it on, put the top cover on, give the whole thing a bath, put it up on the yard for sale. That's that. And that's going to be the end of this video. Sharpen and balance the blade. I've done it before. It's nothing exciting. Take it off, sharpen it, balance it, put it back on. It doesn't look like it's in crazy bad condition. It's not. It's rusty, but it's not as if it's all worn out. So, what on earth? Bunch of holes in that blade. I hadn't seen that before. Unless it was an attempt to balance it. Because there's 3 holes in this side. 1, 2, 3. What was in the other side? 3 holes in this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sure those are not factory. I don't know how some people think. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my finger underneath the blade here. I'm going to check basically where this tip of the blade is sitting in relation to the mower deck. I'll just turn it to make sure that the other side is the same. That'll tell me one of two things. It'll tell me either the crankshaft is bent or the blade is bent. Nope, it's the same. So the blade's not bent. But I don't know what the heck this guy was thinking. Good Lord. We'll get it off there and sharpen and balance and put it on there properly. Deck's got a little bit of grass on her. It's not all cloddy. Anyways, thanks for joining me on this video, guys. We're just going to stop this one here. I'm just maybe going to tag on a little video at the end with it all shined up, lipstick and high heels ready for sale. But till the next one, thanks for watching my videos. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And tune in next Saturday. We'll have something else going on. There's always something going on. Take care, guys.